Hey everybody, greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. This is a quick peek today to talk about WandaVision episode 5 because we were all so shocked that we just have to talk about it. We had to get together. I finally watched it today. These guys, everybody watched it ahead of time, so it was all on me to wait this long. I come to you from in my shop today in the cold. And with us today, we have a special guest I have not had a chance to be on a pod with, and that's Serena. How you doing, Serena?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm okay. I'm okay. Uh, and then of course we have James over here, this side over. James, how you doing, James?
What up? What up? What up? Your engineer's favorite engineer.
You're trying to find a catchphrase, James? Are you trying to find a catchphrase?
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Nothing can top Keith.
That's right. We're
Still black and mattering.
we're not quite there yet. And then finally, the only person who could possibly be colder than me if he wasn't in his basement, it's Michael. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, so an appropriate question for you right now is, who's the popsicle?
That's right. It's the popsicle. I will be if I don't get through this tire repair soon. Okay, so we're going to talk about episode 5 here. We're going to jump over to James to do the synopsis for the episode for us. What's up, James? Do it.
Yeah, so this was episode 5, partially set in the 80s, with some homages paid to family ties and growing pains. Mm-hmm. The story continues as Vision seems to get the feeling that not all is pleasant in Westview. Meanwhile, Sword continues to see what they can do to extricate the folks that are seemingly trapped in the hex that is the creation of Wanda. How about that? I just made that up.
That works. That's great.
Why did you call it the hex?
Want to get there already? Spoiler.
So why don't we quickly do this? There's basically two parts, two main competing forces here in these episodes now. Now that past episode 4, we now have the full outside view of what's going on and Wanda's internal view and internal struggle. So this episode specifically really brought both to a head in both directions.
Chris, speaking of head, OSHA regulations is now allowed to be flipping that screwdriver back and forth as you're talking here.
What?
Please be safe. Thank you. Go ahead. Came to a head.
So I guess my first question for everybody is, let's go inside Wanda's vision first. So before we talk about Sword and all the characters outside, tell me what you thought of Wanda's world breaking down, her losing control. Basically, you see her multiple times in this episode basically lose some control over some parts. What did you guys think of the way that storytelling is going? I'm going to start with Serena here. Tell us what you think.
So I actually really enjoyed how Wanda was losing control of her world, like, and almost like not even like spaced apart. Like you could just tell that it came so, like, every moment that was breaking apart just came right after another. And like, for example, the beginning where like her children, they kept aging up, and then Vision was like, our neighbor's here, like, what's going on? They just aged up right in front of her, and then he's realizing that she already knows about it, like the neighbor is aware of it. And then, you know, she just continues to brush it off, and I just think she really wants to try to keep a sense that she is in control when really she's just not in control at all anymore.
She's completely lost it, right?
Yeah, it seemed like she at that one point in the kitchen, she just didn't care anymore who watched her use her powers. And she's gotten to the point, well, she's frustrated with Sword, as we saw, right? So, you know, things are coming down around her, and as Vision gets more aware of what's happening, you can see the frustration with her as well. So,
okay, my question. Sorry, I'm going to send James a question here. Do you think it's her powers getting away from her, or do you think the children have powers of their own that they're kind of taking advantage of.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think three things real quick. I think one, it's great seeing Elizabeth Olsen as an actress emote herself, showing that she's exasperated with what's happening. Like the first two episodes seem pretty in control of what's happening, but this particular episode, you can see her frustration in her eyes, the way she looks at Vision. There's a lot of character, a lot of emoting that's happening that kind of, even if you don't quite see everything around her falling apart, you see the actress pretending like this is, beyond her control. The second part was when the neighbor Agnes, for the first time when she goes, "Do you want me to do another take?" Like
that was so weird. Wow,
that was another wall breaking there in front of her, and she kind of paused. Wanda paused for a second, and then Vision was like, "Did you not catch that?" And you can see her trying to like, okay, woosah, let me get back into this, and let's continue.
Exactly.
The third item to your question specifically is, I think when the twins were born, when they're in the baby carriage and she's trying to do some hex, whatever her magical powers, and it wasn't working. It was like roll for critical damage. I think for the first time we're seeing that perhaps the twins themselves are not impervious, but have some sort of counterbalance to her magic, and perhaps might be causing her to lose her powers. Not lose, but like have her powers in disarray.
Yeah, so I have a theory overall that, because right now Sword seems to think she's in control and she created the world, but I still don't buy that. I still think there's somebody else behind it who offered this world to her, and she said, man, this is great. This is where I want to be. So she decided that this is where she's going to live. And while she does have, let's say 90% control of that universe, I think there's somebody bigger at you know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a good point. It kind of marries with when she took Vision's corpse 9 days before the events of the Hex, I guess, the town disappearance. So maybe she got the opportunity, got the wish. Oh, I hate to compare this to Wonder Woman, but she knew she had the potential of recreating things, and she went to get Vision's corpse to bring him into this world that was just about to be created. That's a pretty good theory, actually.
Yeah. So because the thing is too, I don't really like Sword wants to label her as the bad guy right now, but I don't want to believe that Wanda has become the bad guy, right? So
well, I think that we can talk antagonist versus bad guy kind of thing, where she is expressing her grief and her anger, and unfortunately, when you're that powerful, it has large cascading effects that she doesn't even understand. And so, most characters, we've seen other characters go off and do a thing and fall into disarray, but it just affects them, and maybe other people get are slightly annoyed or inconvenienced. But for her, this happening to her, she has the power to fix it, at least in her own mind temporarily, and it just
so it's kind of like what Darcy was saying, that it's not Darcy, Monica was saying it's not done from malice, so she's not a terrorist. And it reminds me of her other universe father, who also believes what he does is not for malice, but for the betterment of his people, right? Which we'll get into. I guess we'll get into.
We'll get into that. Okay, so I guess the next step is to talk about outside of Wanda's bubble, and that's the Sword event. So we saw Monica Rambeau, Darcy, and
Agent Wu.
Agent Wu. They basically got together and were trying to figure out a way to talk to Wanda and not let the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. treat her like a villain, like we were just talking about. Because during that presentation where Agent Wu was very specifically saying, no, she's not a villain, she is a Avenger, and some shit's going on, but they were like treating her and even giving the backstory of her as if she is this evil force. What did you guys think of, number one, what do you guys think of those three characters being almost finally brought forward in the Marvel Universe? And because they were all been very small time side characters. And number two, What do you think? Do you think Monica has been given some powers by Wanda? I have a theory that Monica got her powers because she just got nailed by Wanda, and within the universe, she got changed. The way her outfit got changed.
Yeah,
I think Monica was changed as well.
That's quite possible. That's a theory that could help the whole Captain Marvel. Because in the comics she becomes Captain Marvel as well. That's a good theory. Going back to your first question, seeing the three, Agent Wu, Monica, and Darcy interact, it's almost like we're the audience. Like they're the audience, us. They're saying the same things we're saying. Thanos almost got wrecked by Wanda. Yeah, but Captain Marvel could have done that too. But, I thought that was hilarious that the three of them were. There's
like a message. There's like a message board response, right?
So exactly.
Are we gonna talk about the shade that Monica threw when they mentioned her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Subject.
Yeah, that was. I think it had something to do with her mom's death.
Maybe her mom was exposed to Captain Marvel, and that's how she got cancer, the radiation.
Could be.
Yeah. So when they mention when Wu mentions Captain Marvel,
what did I miss?
Yeah, so when the part about Captain Marvel possibly taking down Thanos, when Wu mentioned that, the camera flashes to Monica, and she has like this solemn look on her face, like a sore topic, bringing up Captain Marvel's name.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I did miss that.
Yeah.
So, Serena, what's your call on what's going on the outside? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Serena.
So also, I'm also going to bring it back to what we were talking about before with the children, because Monica said something where she was like, when they were trying to figure out if everything is real inside, she was talking about how like the children, like those are the Scarlet Witch, the Hex.
Oh yeah, good point.
She was like, those are her children. Everything's real in there, because they were having trouble identifying the children specifically. So part of that, that's like how did that happen? It obviously wasn't Vision that caused her to have those children, because he's dead, he's sentient, he's not, doesn't work. So there's something else with that can be talked about. I don't know, maybe whoever is behind this could have impregnated her or something.
Oh, that's going back to some real dark Marvel comics if we're going to go that way.
Yeah.
Hopefully they stay away from that that kind of forced impregnation thing.
And then another part, when they were trying to figure out if the clothes are real, like that they send in, and when they start shooting at it. So then I thought it was so smart that they decided to use tech from the time period. That was very like well thought out of them to do.
A good call.
Very good call.
Okay. All right, James.
Chris, what I was gonna say, actually, Serena just perfectly laid the foundation. What my point was going to be with the three characters is their ingenuity in figuring things out, like the clothes, the tech, sending a drone in the 80s into this particular show that they knew was based in the 80s, and it worked. It's not just fan service to give you these three characters and have them like interact and make little quips about, Thanos would have beaten everyone. That's just how the story was. But for them to come up with little tricks and little strategies to get ultimately what they're trying to do, that is the reason why I really enjoyed seeing these three characters. Not so much because they were throwaways from another franchise, but because they're able to use them in a story in a constructive way. Really, I like the three of them interacting and coming up with ideas. I also like, we had mentioned, is that general guy, maybe the head director, who's clearly is like the bad guy because
Hayward.
Yeah, because he already had a plan, like send SEAL Team 6 and whatever it was, and not tell Monica or Darcy or Wu about it. So I even like his character, because to me, everything seemed a little too goody. Let's try. No, he makes perfect sense. Like if this was, the last administration, our current government, there would be guys like that, in control of an operation like this that would do some shady stuff like that. So I like that, all of the secondary characters have real purpose about what they're trying to do in the show.
Yeah,
okay.
So
there. Go ahead.
Hang on 1 second. Something we just skipped over too. I was curious about how Monica's scans and blood work showed up blank.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. They didn't
So,
even try
That's
to do it
because
again.
That goes back to Chris's
that's
point.
because I think she is now has some remnant of a mind of the powers that were transferred to her from Wanda.
yeah.
Because they mentioned that. They said, well, didn't Captain Marvel have powers from the stone?
Mhm.
And so her stuff showing up blank tells me that she some transfer. And she said, well, Wanda protected me when she shot me out of the thing. I have a feeling there's some stuff there. That's my answer.
I like when Wu says, because the general director, for lack of, I forgot his guy's name, the bad guy director was like, yeah, so,
Hayward,
Hydra did some experiments with her with the Mind Stone and created her powers. And then Wu goes, that's an oversimplification, but yeah.
It was. That was good. All right. So there's two, I think, major things we have to talk about before we finish here.
Yeah, one
Number
is that
one-
Commodore 64. How great was it and dial-up internet access?
That's
No.
right. Number one is Wanda coming out of the bubble and interacting directly with them, showing you that she knows it. This is not like a subconscious event where she has some control, but mostly it's going on without her intention. This is intentional in that way. She walked out of the bubble, confronted them, and told them to back the heck off. And looks like it strengthened the bubble. It turned red. So basically, what are you guys feeling in that? Like, even if she was offered some of this by someone else giving her the idea, it definitely feels like she is in control that way in the creation of this.
Yeah, that was a whole damn moment for me. Like, oh, Wanda, what have you become? You know.
It was good. She, Elizabeth Olsen in that moment was scary.
Mhm.
Yeah, it gave me shades of Anakin turning darker Mustafar, where you just feel like the raw power of Wanda's finally being shown. Like you see her eyes, and you didn't see the soldiers, and you see how she's able to quickly like overcome without even a mere thought. And then, like you said, it looked like the bubble even strengthened just to block out any other intrusion. To me, it feels like, okay, this is the Wanda I'm expecting to see to reach near her full potential, like she is in the comics, which is scary. It actually is scary.
Yeah.
All right. I guess the big thing happened in the last 5 seconds of the episode.
Wait, hold on. But before we go to the big reveal,
Uh-huh.
and actually place a big reveal, is Vision. Like, we didn't talk about Vision and the fact that now he's understanding that this is not a real universe. He understands that his memories are only up to a certain point. You know, he's interacting with the Indian American guy who was in the office. Funny thing about the whole email and computers, Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm.
So he's starting to take control to the best that he can about this whole society world. He's asking the right questions. Why are there no kids in the playground? Why is this? And he confronts Wanda right before the big reveal happens. To me, I thought that was a great writing that I didn't expect at this early on, like episode 5.
That one line got to me. He was like, I don't remember anything before this, and I'm scared. That one,
right?
Oh wow, yeah,
yeah.
And it forced Wanda to force control back onto him instead of like before. You felt like, okay, so he's going along with it. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's enjoying this. Now she had to force a change in him.
Mm-hmm. He started rolling the credits because she didn't want to really engage with them. And then the credits, that's
start rolling the credits. That's so good.
Strong flex on
going
her.
through the credits.
Yeah.
Like as a married guy, and you guys are married, can you imagine rolling the credits on your spouse fighting?
Oh my God,
like
that shit would not end well. That would not end well.
It would be exactly the same scene.
It didn't end well.
It would be the same in the living room with two of us levitating in the air.
He even
Sorry,
said
I was like, oh my God.
Sorry, Rena,
go ahead, Serena.
No, it's okay. He even said it at one point that because Wanda was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm just gonna go to bed," and then he was like, "Oh, so you can go and change everything again, like change the time period." Like he was catching on. He's like, "I'm aware. We were just in the 60s, 50s, like 2 episodes ago. Like, come on."
Yeah, I love that everybody's aware of this as it is. Like we feel like we could be part of that FBI crew just watching this shit unfold, the way they've set this universe up.
Yeah. And then
all right, so here's the big reveal, and as I said, damn it, Kevin Feige, you did it, you crazy bastard. Did it. You took two completely separate, unrelated universes, and you just collided them in an instant, and it was a shock. It was just a shock ran through me as I watched it. What was your guys' reaction to that moment as she opens the door and sees Pietro, her brother, who's been mentioned multiple times now, but it's not the Pietro we know from the MCU.
Right.
It's the Pietro from the X-Men universe. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So one of the first things I said, I think after episode 2, I think I was chatting with James offline, and I had mentioned one of the things I wanted to see was Pietro on the show. But my assumption was it was going to be Aaron Taylor Johnson from Ultron.
Me too. Because he just showed up in Tenet, so he's still acting.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still got a SAG card.
Oh, he's still big. He's huge, right? Do you see him in Tenet?
Yeah, he's pretty big.
You're like, well, we can't use him. He's too muscular. It'd be too weird.
But yeah, that was a shocker. That was that when I saw the silver hair, and I still thought it was Aaron Johnson for a second.
Yeah.
And then when they flipped it to God, what's his name? I forget the actor's name.
Right.
But
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Paige, and she mentioned that one of the last X-Men movies was set in the 80s.
Right.
Whereas this episode was an 80s sitcom. So it's like
I was like, that's genius. That is excellent.
Yeah.
Age of Apocalypse. Yeah.
So there is some. I don't know if they cared what age he was supposed to be in, but it really did match up in that way.
For me, when I first like Mike said, I thought when we see him, first of all, I didn't realize it was going to be him when the doorbell rang. I was like, we're finally going to see who's pulling the strings. They're going for it. For it. Then they open the door. You see her eyes like a little bit shocked, and then they show Vision. Vision, who's that? Vision asks, who's that? And you see the back of his head. And I was like, oh, okay, so Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's finally going to be shown because, I never really believed how much she cared for her brother's death. To me, they never showed it. And then they flipped it, and like you said, here he is from the former Fox X-Men universe. And the one thing that popped in my head, I didn't say it out loud. I was watching Serena. I was like, yo, what if this show ends with her saying, instead of the comics, no more mutants, but more mutants? And then boom, the entire X-Men franchise burst into MCU, which is a reverse of what she did in the comic, which is quite possible, but not as cheesy as the way I just said it. But because of something that happens in this particular episode, the show with her brother, where she now feels like the birth of people like her brother and her, all of a sudden, boom.
But what this says to me is that instead of doing the there are mutants, there's more mutants, or whatever, that specific thing, I think basically her wanting her brother, and then they did that whole thing with the dead dog where she's like, I can't bring back
dead. Yeah.
It's the whole genie thing. I can't bring back the dead, right? And so her want for her brother basically took an entire universe, and she just said, and it just pulled it in. So instead of her wanting mutants, her want for her brother just ripped an entire universe and collided them together. Is basically what I'm thinking.
That is some Feige level flex.
Right? Because I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, she's gonna wish for mutants. Well, no, she wishes for her brother. It has nothing to do with the rest of the mutants. It's literally just her want for
and
her
she
brother.
said dead is dead. She can't bring back her brother, but she can bring another version of her brother with an entire universe. That's even
right. That's crazy. It's crazy. Someone sitting in a boardroom who goes, you know what? I think we could do this. Remember that time when everybody was laughing because Fox had his Quicksilver and we had a Quicksilver?
But theirs was better than ours.
We can use that and get the better Quicksilver. It's just going to take a couple of $1 billion purchases and about 20 movies to get there.
Rena, what about you? I think I cut you off a little bit because I know we watched it together, but Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously saw me in that moment. I was jumping on the couch in excitement.
Pull the Tom Cruise.
I'm just excited to see how they address it in the next episode. You know, is she gonna be like have some quips about it and be like, you look different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see like how they're gonna like, is he gonna act the same as the Pietro that we know in our universe? Is he gonna act more?
You weren't
Like-
expecting that.
Well, if he says that, then I'd be like, oh shoot.
Yeah,
Question is Jean Grey gonna come looking for him?
Ooh,
right.
yeah.
We'll
So
see.
many.
Missing
Well,
from the
it-
team.
Is his Wanda gonna come looking for him?
True.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
right.
But we've never
So
seen.
okay, so
Well, we've never
here's
seen
a-
his Wanda and the Fox. In the
She
Fox
was a
universe.
child. She
Yeah,
was a
that's-
child in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
little
right.
sister.
She had a
Younger
little
sister.
sister, but
Yeah.
but she wasn't. There was no Wanda mutant.
Yeah, she wasn't a mutant.
Mm.
All right. So a couple of things I noticed was that her whole trick with the guns. It reminded me heavily of the X-Men universe Magneto gun thing.
In the
Right.
first
You know,
movie,
he did
yeah.
it twice. In the first movie, but he also did it in the last movie where he took all the guns off the wall and shot at the aliens. That
Yeah,
horrible
that's right.
Phoenix movie. But
Oh.
still, I was like, oh, that feels so familiar for them. And all of a sudden, she's gonna have a dad. Are they gonna do that? Like, how far are they gonna go? with
Yeah, because
this?
they made it a point to mention her entire backstory when they were trying to like defend her, and she's not a terrorist. She goes, she was born here, 1989. She had her dad and mom both died in the war. Like they gave you all of this backstory. I'm like, this exposition has got to tie into something. You know, it's got to mean something down the road. Like why are they telling us now? Like after Ultron, 15 years ago, or whatever it is. Like,
Right.
There's got to be a reason.
And every time the episode ends, it suggests you watch Ultron. Disney Plus is like, you want to watch Ultron?
Yeah.
Ultron.
And
If
I'm
you
always,
like this,
Ultron's
the
right
thing
here.
is, the thing is, I'm always tempted too. Like right after, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that again.
not me. No.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys what you thought the best line or moment of the episode. For me, it was Darcy going, they recast Pietro. I thought that was so good, so much good.
So
Great
meta.
timing.
It was meta too, right? That was like,
So meta. But the whole show is that meta thing.
yeah.
So do you guys have a favorite moment of this episode?
Well, I gave you mine already. It was when Vision said he was scared.
Vision.
Mm.
Yeah, oh yeah. Paul Bettany really pulled a lot of great acting in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Top to bottom.
Serena?
All right.
Go,
Serena,
Serena.
have a
Yeah.
favorite?
Probably when Vision used his powers in the office to like try to get in his head, and he's like, she's in my head, please help me. 'Cause that was like a almost scary moment.
It
'Cause
was.
it's like
Yeah.
she's controlling them, like they're doing this against their will, and it's just that was a good moment.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the there's an old black and white TV show, the shoot.
Oh, you just lost Serena in that one, but go ahead.
All right. The it's not the Black Mirror. It's a Black Mirror type show. I'm
The Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Zone. Blanking.
Oh my
Twilight
God.
Zone, where that one kid controls the town and everybody
Yes.
has to
Yes.
act a certain way.
Yes, and they're fearful because otherwise he would like shrink them or kill them or do something terrible to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I mentioned that
So
while
that's-
watching that episode.
Probably. I mean, I'm sure it's been brought up a million times, but it just this one
Yeah.
where that guy came out of and started basically screaming how scared and he was. It really brought me to that.
Reminds me of one more thing. When Agnes found the dog, and she had to tell them the dog died.
Mhm.
It looked
she
like
was-
she was scared to death.
Yeah.
She was.
To
Wanda
say
She
that,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I got three moments of different levels of seriousness. One is
All right,
when the bigger one is when she confronts Sword outside the hex, and she looks like she's about to go OP Super Saiyan level. I was like, oh the hairs on my arms are rising. I was like, yes. The second one is the opening credits as they do for the show of Family Ties, one of my favorite shows of all time. Like I was screaming, "That's freaking Family Ties!" First I thought it was Growing Pains, but then later on I found out there were some connections with Growing Pains.
Yeah.
But then seeing the coloring of I used to love that show to this day. And then
Vision.
Yeah, little baby Vision. Thank you for reminding me of that. And then the last one is, of course, the geeky stuff that we've always done is when they started to give you the ESPN play-by-play of the battle with Thanos. They're like, yeah, Wanda could have had it if it wasn't for the aerial blitz, aerial blitz assault. And then Captain Marvel was pretty close there too. I'm like, wow, they're really getting meta on this because to me, it's some next level geeky stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I love all three of those moments equally. Great show.
All right, so like I told you guys in chat, they need to take Zack Snyder, tape him to a chair, and force him to watch the entirety of the MCU up into this episode to see how you get to a actual feeling like where the audience is so taken by this combination of universes rather than trying to do it in your second movie.
Chris, you still hold hope for DC? Stop.
You guys remember?
Stop. Let it go.
It's funny.
Do you guys remember the nightmare where you're supposed to feel something for Barry?
Yeah, the nightmare sequence.
And you're like, okay, so what? Like Wanda coming out of that bubble. What scared me more than the Superman in that movie.
Yeah.
Like I thought she could kill every one of those people if they decided to come in again.
Yeah, her accent came back. Her Endgame clothing her whole outfit from Endgame came back. I was like, Super Saiyan mode.
Yeah. So Snyder every week tries to release little tidbits of the Snyder cut coming out, and Twitter goes crazy, and then WandaVision, 25-minute episode goes, hold my beer every week.
Basically. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it. I'm going to get back to work. You have a great Saturday. And we'll see you. We'll see you on Tuesday. Right?
Yep. Hey guys, don't forget to follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. Like and subscribe and share our videos. All right.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, Serena. I hope to have you on more often.
See you soon.
All right. Bye.
See you later. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.